Well, I started school at Quarriers Orphan Homes. My mother worked here. I started school there in 1956. By the time I was 7.5 years of age, I became a Quarriers child as my mother took note well. And when I was it was about a week after my 8th birthday, things turned nasty as I was sexually abused and whatnot. That lived with me through my life. I never told anyone about a thing. Am I still there, Andy? Hmm. I don't know if I'm still there or not. Hello?
Yeah, I did say I'll be puttering in and out.
Oh, no bother. Sorry. I didn't know. I
You
didn't
carry
know if
on,
I
I'm
was
listening.
off. But anyway, as I was saying there, I became a Quarriers child. It was about a week after my 8th birthday. I was sexually abused for the first time. I left Quarriers when I was coming up for 10, and I had been sexually abused 4 times, plus there were masturbation and oral sex and various things come into it. This left me, well, not in a nice place. I never told anyone. And then in January 2012, it just got too much for me. I'd caught my wife cheating on me and various things. So I took an overdose of pills and I ended up being locked up for my own protection in Bar Hospital in Paisley. I was too much for them. I was transferred to a hospital in Kirkcaldy where it was a lot harder. There were bars in the windows and security locking, but I was the only one. I was the only one ever to escape out of this place. And they got me on a motorway somewhere with my top off, was sitting like a Buddha doll, trying to get the cars to hit me. So they took me back, got me on medication, got me down, and then eventually was transferred back to Permead to Paisley to Bar Hospital. And then I started to rebuild my life, which was pretty hard because during my time in hospital, my son and my wife had signed a document and that gave them, they could rule my life. They took everything. So they emptied the bank account. They sold me off. There were a fella was involved. I ran a charity for kids with life-threatening conditions. And during this time, one of the guys who was helping me run the charity knew where I was. And what he'd done is he'd went on and he had made out I'd bet up my wife and ran away with all the money for the charity and whatnot. When it was him that was doing it, going away to the Seychelles. So I'm still trying to track him down for fraud and whatnot. So I don't know how this will go. But getting back to Quarriers, in this orphanage, uh, we were being used for the Cold War years and experiments. We were being injected. We do not know what's in our system. But now, later on in life, it's all coming out. We're all finding out, especially the males, we're all finding out it's our liver and kidneys were bothered with and lungs. Well, I did smoke. I put that down to that. Liver and kidneys. Not one in my family had ever been bothered with that. I'm the first. But there are other ones there. Also in here, we had wires on our penis with electrical shocks being blasted through us. So later on there, I went back about 3 years, 3.5 years ago, I tried to get my medical records and find out what actually was going on. But before I went into Quarriers Warriors, everything was there in my medical records. And after, there were nothing there during my time in Quarriers. So I contacted the National Health Service, Greater Glasgow and Clyde, who were operating the hospital in Quarriers. And I received this message back, and it was telling me that the Scottish Government had ordered, now this is I've got the proof. I've not got it with me just now. Some mother is down the road. And it states on this that the National Health Service was ordered by the Scottish Government to destroy every child's record who was in care. So there's no records for us. So why would a government destroy all our records? You can't do that. You can't take somebody's medical records and just wipe them right off, because that way there's nothing to prove. You know, if you take something later on and you go to the doctor with that, they can't look at your medical records and go, well, blah, blah, blah. So there's nothing there. So we cannot prove that this happened in Quarriers. So my point being is, why then did they destroy our medical records? There were no need of this. Now, we also know that during way back, children who were sent to Canada and Australia, not just from Quarriers, but all around the UK, many of them, their birth certificates was changed, and it made it difficult for them, those children in later life, to find their own families and stuff. So this is the sort of things I campaigned for and try to put wrongs right. Now, in Quarriers Orphan Homes, there were 338 little angels sadly gained their golden wings. My partner Jane, I met Jane when I started school at 5. We had life planned out for us, but at 14 Jane was taken back home. Jane's story is horrific. I mean, Andy's seen what they done to Jane with her fingers and that. They amputated them. Now, I've gone to Jane's medical records when she went into Quarriers Orphan Homes. The only thing that was up with Jane is she had 2 webbed fingers. We don't know why they amputated her fingers. All we know is they were trying to make Jane a normal girl, you know, with separating the fingers, but why they amputated both hands? It's just her thumb and her pinky and that, and sort of these stumps that's left, and each one of her hands. We don't know why this was done, nothing at all. We do know that Jane was being used as a designer child, and people were were looking for a little girl between the ages of 5 and 7 years of age, must have blue or brown eyes, and a must is they have to have blonde hair. Now we've got all the proof, this was in Jane's records. It was said, it shouldn't have been said, and they were trying to take that back off, but we've got the proof this was true. So we fight for injustice. Going way back to about 2012, the director that was there, her name was Alice Harper, and I will not mention her. I don't believe in this, what government says, oh, don't mention names, you're not allowed to mention names. Why? They've done wrong. If I do a crime, and my name will appear in the paper, Sandy Smith, blah, 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 my address a lot, but these people, you never hear of this. And we're told, do not mention their names. Well, I don't give a damn what they're going to do, jail me. I don't care. The days of caring is gone. But this woman, Alice Harper, when we told her about the kids' headstones and stuff, we were liars. There were never headstones there. We had to prove they were. Well, we had a video. It was Jane's sister had a video going way back to we were kids. And it was Quarriers Orphan Homes, and it showed the graveyards, and it showed William Quarriers and all his friends, blah, blah, blah. And it also showed the kids' headstones. But the headstones, they're not like what they are today. Every single child had their own headstone. It had their name, when they were born and when they died on the headstones. They each had their own headstone, but today, that's no longer. Instead of being 338 headstones, there's now 155 headstones. Some of the headstones has got 1 name, 2 names, and 3 names. That way, it saved them money. And this is all Quarriers was about at this particular time, saving money. Now, I don't know what the profit was for last year, I've not got that, but the year before, after they had paid all the bills and wages, everything, they were left, and it was a shame, they were £34 million they were left with. And this is the sort of money they've been left with every year. And they've got the money, but they try to make out, oh, they're a poor charity, we've not got this, we've not got that, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot more to this, but I can't speak about it at the moment. But I was working with another woman on this, and the things we've found out about Quarriers is unbelievable. But I cannot talk about it because this will be needed later on in life. I promise that if Andy gives me a chance, and once we get this all sorted, I will come back on and let you know and how we went about this. Now I've got to be very careful what I say, because Jane's gone through a right tough one with Quarriers. And if Jane's like the example, if she gets this, it's going to help so many. And not just in Quarriers, but other orphanages all over Scotland, all over the UK, who have been denied justice. I remember when I first met Andy, and Andy asked me.
That's the point, isn't it? That's the point. It's actually, the point is it's helping everybody, and especially with these medical records that go missing, I can definitely 100% clarify survivors' records did go missing. It's not just Sandy Smith saying it. It definitely did.
Oh, there's plenty can back me up, my words are true. And then what they were doing was Jane applied for her records, and they sent out her records. This is when Alice Harper was in charge. Now, we found her out to be a liar, and she panicked. You know, what will I do? So we heard she got an option, either resign or you're sacked. So she resigned, and that safeguarded her pension and everything else that goes with it. But Jane's records, they were not everything, there were a lot missing off her records. So once Harper was started, there were a new man started, a Dr. Ron Cully. And I give credit where it's due. And this man is never lied to us once. Pardon me. When I first met Andy, I remember Andy asking me if I was given £1 million today, would I stop doing what I'm doing? My answer there was no. And my answer's still that today, no, I don't want money. I will admit that the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, I gave evidence, blah, blah, blah. The Scottish Government had come up and made rules that all orphanages in Scotland had to abide by, but they failed the system and they weren't keeping track of this. So they failed us as well. So what they've done is they tried to get all these orphanages, I think it was £5 million they'd all to put in to this kitty to sort of help to pay for the payment. Quarriers refused to do this. And again, I can't say too much. I'll tell you offline, Andy, how about this, but I can't say it on the now, just in case this gets to them. But anyway, there's a way around about this. But the Scottish Government, I got 100,000, Jane got it, and a lot of others. It was depending on the abuse. But I don't want the money. I've spent a lot of it already helping others and that. I mean, I'm happy with what I've got. And as long as I can keep a roof over my head and feed my belly, I'm happy. You know, I don't need money to make me happy. But it's good that I can help others. I do get a lot of people coming on to Sandy, oh, help me, I've run up a debt, it's X amount of pounds, can you help me? No, it's not my fault you run up a debt. But you find these people, they're the first ones to turn on you, and wow, some of the things it said, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable, you know, with some people with money. We even had one guy come on and he made out he was abused in quarriers. And he told a lot of lies, and just the way he was talking, you could tell. He mentioned about the cottages he was in, it was cottage 20. He stated it was a man and woman who was a cottage parents who couldn't remember their name. But what he didn't, we got the years he was in, and it was a year after Jane went into Cottage 20. Now, Cottage 20 was never, ever run by a cottage mother and father. It was only a cottage mother. So, of course, when Jane and I, we asked him about this, God, did he turn nasty? And well, pure verbal abuse. So we handed in the information we've got to the police, because we don't like fraudsters in this game. Because when you get someone like that, it makes it harder for the genuine people to get justice. And not just that. If that makes national paper headlines, this guy, him was trying to get, it looks back in the genuine people who have spent years and years and years fighting for justice. I started away back in 1986 in the back seat. I never, ever, ever told anyone about my abuse, but I did try and help warriors away back in 1986. It wasn't till 2000 and, let's get this right, 13, and I was asked to speak at a conference. And to this day, I still don't know why I says yes, but I says yes. The conference was being run by Andy, and it was the first time I ever really spoke out. And it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. There's no doubt in that. I can't thank you enough for that, Andy, give me a chance. Because that was me, everybody knew. So from that day on, it was up to me to start building my life, getting my life that I want. It took me a hell of a long time. I only fully come out and spoke about the full abuse I went through, the oral and the masturbation last year. So I've got no more hidden secrets. None at all that I can tell. Yeah. My life is now is helping others. I wrote a book about my life and whatnot. It's in 2 parts. The first one has been out, is selling well. It's called The Hidden Secrets of the Warrior Behind the Stone Walls. That was the first copy that I got. The first one off the shelf. It sells for £12. Every penny goes to help others. The first lot of money I got off of the book, I bought a load of daffodils and I put them all round the graveyard. And then after that, that's the book, yeah, £12. But I bought tubs as well, and I filled them with bulbs and plants and all sorts, and I bought plaques and various stuff for that. Plus, I help others. I can't say who, but it was a mother. She was an amazing woman. And but she had a wee daughter, and her daughter died, and she just hadn't the money. So the money that I got from the book, and plus some of it for the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry, went to bury the kid and put a headstone up. And if I can continue my life helping others, I'll be happy. That's what I'll do. My own life just now is not too good. It was 2 years ago. I was taken into the Royal Alexandria Hospital in Paisley. There I am there. Handsome looking guy I am. But I was taken into the Royal Alexandria Hospital in Paisley. and I had double pneumonia. And while I was in there, I caught COVID-19, and I was in a bad way. And I see the headline there, I was brought back from death. That is so true. I can't remember a thing to tell you the truth about this. I was so no well. But what they'd done is they'd phoned Jane. Jane lives about 100 miles away from us. So they phoned Jane to get down. Jane had no means of... So she phoned my mate Alan, could you come? So my mate Alan, he set off to bring Jane. Jane come down to the hospital that night while I'm lying there with these tubes and stuff at death's door. And they told Jane, he goes, listen, he goes, there's no more we can do. We've given them the maximum oxygen we can give him. He goes, you see yourself, he goes, he'll not make it, mate. He'll not make it. Jane goes, want a bait, you know, blah, blah. She goes on about me. She goes, please, he's all I've got. He goes, by my son and daughter. He goes, please save him for me. He goes, go home tonight. I'm going to be emotional here. He goes, go home tonight and read about him. He goes, just what he's done. So the doctor, he went away home and he did. Jane was still at my bed the following morning when the doctor came in. And he goes, my God, that's some story. He goes, he gave Jane a high five and he told her, he goes, he fights, we'll fight. Here I am today. So I escaped death. I've done that a few times. I'm beginning to think...
What's scary about that one? What's scary about that one, Sandy?
Yeah.
In them days, they were letting everybody die.
Oh, yeah. 100%. If I hadn't been for Jane, I mean, I'd been dead 100%. But there's a lot more to this story I don't want to talk about, but there were some hell of a things done to me when I was in there by others, but I let that go now. I don't care about that. But as I say, I can't thank Jane enough. She saved my life. And it's not if something like that happens to you, then you just start realising just how precious life is. It's the greatest gift that we can ever receive. Okay, you maybe have bad days, but there's also good days. And they say good days we should all be living for. It's up to us how our life goes.
Yes, Sandy, else. I think, I know this is a bit weird, but the Lord upstairs knows you've got unfinished business, and it wouldn't be fair for you to die early because you need to help others, and that's why you're back. But I don't get it that way. Some people would. I get it a different way. The love that Jane's got for you brought you back.
Well, when I was in Quarriers, religion, it was a religious place. When anyone went for an interview with Quarriers, you know, to become a parent or a cottage aunt, 2 questions they were asked. Question 1, do you believe in God? Yeah. Do you like children? Yes. So that was qualifications. The guy that abused me as a kid was a very religious man. We had to sit in a circle at night. And they were, God, man, they were kids at 5-year-old sitting in there. 5-year-old to 15-year-old sitting in a circle. Now, the very first thing we ever got when we were in the Quarriers, it wasn't new clothes or anything, it was a Bible. And we were given a week to learn the books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Judges, and so on. So I didn't know it. So I was dragged out, my shirt ripped off, the usual thing, bare back, out with a 2-prong twaz or a leather belt, school belt, about 18 inches long, battered on my back because I couldn't recite all the books of the Bible. But I'll tell you one thing, the following week, by God, I knew them. I spent every time reading them, going through them till I had them. But you had kids sitting in that circle, and I swear to God, at night, after our meal, get your Bibles. And at that, I seen kids at 5 screaming, panicking. We were in sitting in a circle, be quiet, be quiet. Oh, God, did we get hammered for it because we were crying? It was, wow, something else. But, right, open me Leviticus verses 13 to 22. You read it, boy. Well, boy was my name, so I knew it was me to start with all name. So I started, and once I got to the end, it went clockwise. The fella sitting next to me, he had to start continuing. And that's the way it went till we were told, that's it for tonight, boys. Then that started about what? Just after 6:15 or so. And that went on to about 6:30. And then after that, we could go and play for a wee while or whatever. Go to Scouts, BB, whatever we were in, or the youth clubs. But you give a kid a Bible, any kid, a 5-year-old, and go, read that and don't make a mistake. Rest of them, what's even today, the words in that Bible, when I look at it, I can't even pronounce them. These kids were grabbed and they were flogged stupid, screaming. I still hear that. I can see it, I can visualise it, I know what happened. And it's never ever happened, this stuff. It happened in there. No wonder I took an overdose. Tried to end my life so many times. I had slit my wrist, I'd put ropes round my neck. The only thing I'm really sorry about is my ex-wife and son one night. They got me and I had took the cord out my dressing gown and I'd put it round my neck, tied it to the toilet door. They kicked the door in and I'm hanging there. Later on, it was at the Scottish Child Abuse. We had to give all our evidence and stuff. We'd done all that. Went to Scottish Child Abuse, quizzed, all sorts. That was. But after that, the next thing, it was a police officer and a policewoman that came to my house. Jane was staying with me at the time down in Bridgeville. Jane was taken into one of the other rooms. And this fella started going on about my abuse. This is a trigger warning. And I mean, honest, if you're easily upset, don't listen. But I want this knowing what happened. So be warned. The police guy started and he started on about my abuse, about what happened. He says that he goes, you state in your statement you were raped. He says that you didn't know what the sexual part was. That's correct. Well, how did you know you were raped if you didn't know? I goes, it wasn't till later on in life that I started realising what sex was and I knew it shouldn't have happened. No, but you said it happened when you were a child. I goes, yes, I was raped as a child. Yeah, but how? Trying to get this through to this thick so-and-so's head. Then they went on about the masturbation, but more so about the oral sex. And again, this is bad. Trigger warning coming up. He asked me, did he put his penis in my mouth? I went, yeah. Did he ejaculate? I went, yes. Oh. Then he got his hands and he's doing that. Then he said, was it dripping? Was it all running down your face? And that's when I lost it. I went, I can't take this. I goes, what sort of things are you asking me? I goes, are you getting turned on? I went outside and I climbed up. I took the washing line down and I threw it over a tree and I climbed up in a small wall and I was tying it around my neck. And it was my wee mentor from Future Pathways, Michelle. She came out and she, She gave me hell. She grabbed my legs so I couldn't move. Don't you dare, don't you dare. She goes, you've got Jane in there. Oh, that's what saved me, Harawada. Jane had been through that before. Her son committed suicide. He hanged himself. And she goes, just think what I know it was a right. It was wrong. It was bad. But at the time, it just snapped me. This is the things that happens to us and nobody believes. I want people to know exactly what happened. This is how I'm writing my books, trying to get it out there. This did happen. Not just to me. In my cottage, they were 18 years. I can't say for sure, but I would say we were all raped. I know there were kids before us and after them. I was in cottage 24 of Quarriers Orphan Homes. My abuser's name was a Mr. Hull. No, I have mentioned it. And I'll keep mentioning it. I'm not keeping that back. Why should I be told, don't you talk about that? No, my days are that. Don't tell anyone or God. Now I'm living in borrowed time. I don't know how long I've got. My liver and kidneys are in a bad way. All thanks to Quarriers. I can't prove that because the Scottish Government ordered all medical records to be destroyed. So how can you prove something if there are no records there? The only thing I've got is a letter that I've got somewhere safe, and I've let others see this before, about the Scottish Government ordering the records to be destroyed.
That's dynamite.
So well, I went to my own MP in over in Renfrew, Gavin Newlands from the Scottish National Party, and I knew him well, and he knew me, and I went in, and Jane was there with me that day. And oh, hi Sandy, how you doing? What can I do for you? So I says to him about the records all being destroyed, and he went, no. He goes, that's not true. I goes, Gavin, it's true. He went, Sandy, no. Where are you getting this from? I goes, from the National Health Service are telling me. I don't believe you. He goes, no way. I goes, I'm telling you. And this is when his voice changed. He sort of went in, yeah, this rage in the voice. Well, show me proof, show me. And the judge had to, you show me. So I put out the letter and he started reading this. And the next thing he goes, I'm keeping that. So I went, no, I'm on it back. So he went, no, and he put it in his desk. So I grabbed it. Went, you're not getting that. He goes, I want a copy of that. So I was, okay. So I went with this girl to this copy machine, give him a copy. So he goes, I'm telling you. He goes, I'll be back. He goes, I'll be back in contact with you within the end of the week. Man, Jay, many years ago did we go to Gavin Newland? About 2.5, 3 years ago, we went there, and I'm still waiting to this day. It's wow, it's just unbelievable. The things that the government can do to cover up child abuse. This is nothing new. I've got the proof about Quarriers Orphan Homes. The Scottish Government were helping them to silence, to keep it under cover. We've got all that. We've got the proof. I can't say too much again. I'm saying a wee bit too much now, but it will come out. They can run. Yeah, they can, but they'll never, ever be able to hide. Now, I've had friends that's went missing and all sorts of stuff through talking out about this, what I'm talking about. And that's how I keep saying, if anything does happen to me, you know who to blame. I had a threat put against me by a woman who was standing for a councillor in Johnston in Renfrewshire. and she contacted me to tell me if I keep talking out about Nicola Sturgeon the way I'm doing, the same will happen to me as my friend Willie McRae. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I never bothered, and I took that to the police as a threat. Willie McRae was a Scottish MP, and that's another good one. But he was Willie McRae was a Scottish MP, and he was going to name and shame all the paedophiles. But Willie was found dead with 2 bullet holes through his neck coming out the top of his head. He had a house up in Inverness, weekend place, and he was going to there. And it was 2 Australian hitchhikers that found him lying. He was still alive at the time, but he died in, is it Ragmore? I think it's Ragmore Hospital in Inverness, and that's where Willie McRae died. So a threat was put out to me. I went to the police, and that was all covered up. Nothing done. Nothing done. Not one thing. I had also proof that Jimmy Savile was involved with Quarriers Orphan Homes. I had a video made. It was on YouTube. And the time I was getting what I was talking about earlier, when the police come down to my house in the room, I told them about this. And he goes, I gave them the video, the only bloody one I had. I gave them it. That's all went missing. It was on YouTube. The video was taken off. Police Scotland? No, you're mistaken. You never gave us. Now, on this video, it was a fella. It was him. As a child, he and another young boy was taken to an unknown address somewhere, he doesn't know where. He was taken by the beast of the bell tower, John Porteous, to this address. If you've never heard of the beast of the bell tower, just Google Beast of the Bell Tower, Quarriers Orphan Homes. His name's John Porteous. He's living in Kilmacombe, and I don't care. Come and get me. You know, probably will for that, but I don't care. But this man was a beast, what he done to kids in the bell tower, sexually abusing them. A dirty, dirty beast. Oh. But he was involved with Jimmy Savile, but that was all covered up. All covered up, and this is what happens here. Everything's covered up. In Scotland, they come out with an act of parliament. The 26th of September 1964 Act. That meant that anyone who was in care and who was abused before that date cannot get compensation for the abuse they went through, meaning they can't take the orphanage to court for their abuse, they can't take the Scottish government to court, and they can't take the abuser. So, no justice. That is so wrong. What right has a government got to take that? There's war criminals away back are still getting found and sentenced to jail for their crimes. So why is these paedophiles who rape thousands of kids been let off with it? What's happening to our country today? My big problem is that my thing is today is why do people not do more? People sit in the backside and they'll go, well, there's Andy, there's Sandy, there's Jane, there's this. They're all doing it. I don't need it. No, we need to come together. Our country is ruined. We see what like it is now. We're on my knees now. But it's getting worse. And the more it flows back in the children. The children are taking off parents. They can't feed them. They can't do this. They can't do that. And these kids have been raped. Raped, and nobody cares. I've set up petitions. Even Andy's done. That man's a genius when it comes to this. It was Andy that taught me half of the stuff I know now. You know, about rules and regulations. I'm grateful to him for everything he's done for us and Jane in the past. We'd many good times out in the road at one time. Been to many a good. They were a good days, but enough said about that. But it's lovely being back in contact with Andy again. This time I'll never go anyway the way it did before. And rest assured, we were going through bad times then, and so was I, and blah blah. But here we are again, and we're back. I'm back here tonight talking about things.
I've got better toys to play with now.
Sorry?
I've got better toys to play with.
It keeps us going, you know. But no, but I mean the things that's happened when you hear cases, you know, you see that there's a dirty so and so. Well, he's now in his 90s. The lie that is people say about the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry. Do you think, you know, it'll help? Truthful? No. It's never going to stop child abuse. And not just that, there's too much being covered up. Far too much. They were a man from Quarriers, and this guy took Jane home, and he started going on at the Scottish Child Abuse under oath. And Lady Smith says to him, you know, he was saying he had dementia. Lady Smith says to him, he goes, Bill was his first name. I'm looking at his second name. He goes, Bill. He goes, stop lying in here. He goes, you've not got dementia. You know more than you're letting on. He was asked, he goes, do you know of anybody who reported the abuse and nothing was done? He went, no. He goes, Bill, I'm asking you, Lady Smith, I've got dementia on. He goes, I'm going to ask you one more time here. Do you know of anyone who reported abuse? And he turned around and he goes, there were one boy in there. He goes in one of their cottages and they reported it and nothing was done. And he was taken back to the cottage and beaten up. The beaten up bit, some of it was kept off the record. Some of it's on the record now. So I know who he was talking about. Jane knew who he was talking about. He said, there's too much hidden. Far too much hidden. They should have, if you're trying to help somebody, you give them everything. You don't just help them a wee bit and go, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. There's plenty there for quarters, and the police should be right in there right now, jailing them. Bloody jailing them. You know, there's the one you showed there with Porteous, when he was taken to court. Now, the people he abused, plus other children who had been abused by others, they all applied for legal aid. Not one of the kids got legal aid. There were a woman called Ruth Wallace. She abused children. Quarriers Orphan Homes paid all her costs. They never helped any kid out. And yet they say, well, we're here to help you. No, they're not. That's a lie.
And isn't it funny that prisoners get legal aid, the victims get nothing?
Yeah, well, if you read on about that, John Porteous, it's something. It's up my site. You can read it. Just Google John Porteous, Quarriers Orphan Homes Child Abuse, and you'll see it. He was awarded £50,000 to fight his case. He was sentenced to 8 years, reduced to 6, down to 4, and out in 2. After he came out of prison, he went back to Quarriers Orphan Homes where he was abusing children. So there were an outcry about that. And somebody managed to get a photograph of him. Don't know who it was, but they got a photograph and they put this up on all the trees, telling what he'd done to children, blah, blah, blah. And he was living there because the cottages in Quarters, most of them had been sold off at that time. I think there's no many cottages left in there. It belongs to Quarters today. But there are some. But bugger, it was me that done it, and I don't care. But I got his photograph and I put it up. I told all about him. He was a dirty paedophile. Watch your children. They were a big rammy started, and he was booted out. It was in the press, but he stated that, oh, I wasn't asked to go back to Quarters. It was my wife stayed there. That's how I went back. Doesn't matter. He went back. So they get booted out of Quarters. They're living in the next village along the road from Bridge of Weir. Good luck to him. I think he's still alive. This one of the other guys that was involved for the cover-up, getting rid of kids' records, he's now 92. We were speaking to his granddaughter, who has got, she shares a cottage with him in the orphanage. She's got a family. So they've got one section in the house, they've got the other. But she was telling us, she goes, oh, he's amazing for 92 years of age. He goes, he maybe not be able to walk, he needs a wheelchair to get about. He goes, but his memory is unbelievable. He can go back to the 1930s and you ask him, who was the cottage parent and Scottish such and such? He can tell you. He goes, and he can also very near name every child that was in Quarters orphan homes. So if he can do that, then to me, he's not got dementia. Far from it. So he swore under oath. Now, I was there when his granddaughter told Jane and I about this, that he can go back to 1930s, naming children, blah, 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 and everything else. So he took an oath when he was in that Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry. So surely to God, there must be something about that. That's perjury or something. He must, surely to God, he should be done for that. Police Scotland. No, there's nothing we can. I mean, it was a long time ago. As Police Scotland told me just a couple of years back here, he goes, Sandy, our advice to you now is, it was a long time ago, you were a child. He goes, you're an adult man now. He goes, so you should be able to dry your eyes and move forward and forget it. God, Andy, I wish I could do that. I think we all wish we could do that. But it doesn't work like that. I'm not too bad.
I've lived on the other side of all this. I've heard my wife, as a survivor, crying, have nightmares, nearly killing herself. So I know the other side of what you've been through.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of your wife's story. My heart bleeds.
Before we run out of time, Sandy, before we run out of time, do you want to mention the remembrance meeting in September?
Well, what we're trying to do, this year will be our 7th anniversary of the headstones being reinstated. We need 155 people. That's all I need. I maybe be dead this time next year. I don't know. I'm living in borrowed time. And before my death, I would love to have 155 people in there. The reason in the Knittings Hill graveyard at Quarters Orphan Homes, the reason being is there's 155 headstones in there. I want one person at each headstone just to be a guardian. 1 hour, less than an hour. It's a non-religious service. Just to be there, to be a guardian for the children in that plot is laid to rest there. I pray that this is the year I can do it. I'm doing everything in my power. I just hope. My praying days are gone. I've prayed and prayed for the last 7 years. It's never happened. So all I can do now is hope that this year is the year that I can eventually get a photograph with 155 people in that graveyard standing at the kids' headstones. This can be done. People that's listening in here tonight, please. The service is on this year. The service is always the last Sunday of September. So this year, that's the 28th of September. The Knittings Hill Graveyard, Quarriers Orphan Homes, School Wind. It's just the graveyard's at the back of the church. When you come into Quarriers, you cannot miss the church. We're just at the back here, the graveyard where our service is.
There's a few brothers and sisters from Scotland that know other people. If they get in contact with Sandy Smith on Facebook, or I can't see why between all the different I can't to make that 150 up, because it really is. It's not for Sandy Smith. It's for the children, the poor kids that died without any.
It's a day. It's a day. It's not just for the children of Quarriers Orphan Homes. It's not just a day for the children in other orphanages all around the world who gained their golden wings. It's a day where we can come ourselves and pay a little bit of respect to our own loved ones. Like myself, I can go there. I can. I make it a day that I can remember my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, who sadly passed away. Everybody comes in, we give them a candle, and we ask them to place that at the kid's headstone. At night, we go back and we light those candles, and they burn overnight in remembrance of those little angels and all angels. We send up balloons as well, with our own wee messages on them, and we let them go, just to remember those kids who weren't as lucky as us. We are the lucky ones. We made it through. There were thousands of kids that didn't. Why did they die? How did they die? No records to show. Please, I need support. 155. If I get 338, one person for each child. Wow. That is a dream. But if I can get 155, just one person at each headstone, I would go tomorrow if I knew I was getting that. Well, I wouldn't go tomorrow. I would want to see it first. But on the 29th of September, that's my birthday, by the way, the 29th of September. And that's my birthday wish this year, again.
Well, just to see what we can do and
put the icing in the cake for me. Be there. That's all I ask. It doesn't take long. An hour out your life once a year is nothing. These kids, I don't know. I had one person turn round one time and they go, "For God's sake, Sandy, what do you want me to come?" I don't know the kids. I don't know them either. There's maybe about 2 or 3 on the plaque that I know. Their names I know. But the rest I don't. But I'm there for them. Not just because they were in Quarriers, but for respect. And that's what it's about. Give these kids a bit of respect. Okay, bad things happen to me and to others in there. We have got each other for support. Those darling little angels has got no one but us. We can do this. It would make national headlines if this happened. Our first service, God almighty, BBC, STV, newspapers galore were all out there. Interviews, we were getting fed up with the phone ringing. Jane, myself, and the other ones involved.
Yeah, the headstones made a splash. And I can remember before things went different ways with me and you, your dream was to get the headstones, and you got it.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the best thing I received out of Quarters. I always say there are three things that I'm more than happy about I get out of Quarters. One was Jane. Two, the headstones. And three, my written apology of Quarters. If you remember, I told you that's the only thing I want, and I vow I will not take Quarters to court. I will help Jane, aye, I'll help others, but I will not personally take Quarters to. All I wanted to do to this was a written apology from them and to acknowledge that I was in there and I was a child of abuse. I had a hunters team one time. Now I love hunters team. I can't thank them guys for what they do. But this certain hunters team made out that I was never in Cairney, had all the proof and everything else. I'm still waiting them to show me that proof because I've got the proof I was. End of conversation there. But that's it. If you want to find out more, there it is. The little book, The Hidden Secrets of the Warrior Behind the Stone Walls. My other book, I'm hoping that's out for September for the service again. And that's called No More Hidden Secrets for the Warrior on the other side of the stone walls. It goes in, it tells about when I left Quarters, about how I get involved in music, business, who I met, my heroes, Eric Clapton, Elton John, blah, blah. It goes on about that. It goes on about how I took the overdose and all sorts, good and bad, it's in it. My book now, the reviews I'm getting is good. Oh, no, it's a book where, as everyone is saying, you'll be crying 1 minute and then the next thing you're rolling about laughing on the floor, because I just say things the way they are. I don't mess with words. But every penny for that, it'll go to help someone, and even after my death, it'll sell. The money will be kept and it'll go for the graveyard for the kids. But as I say, that's all I can say about me. I just hope that you can support me in September. I really need that support. I mean, there's people. I had a sister, my Quarrier sister Rosemary, at our very first service. She came over from Australia with 2 broken ribs to be there. Every year, we've got very good friends, Kim and Peter Dormer. They live down in March in Cambridgeshire, and they spend about 9 hours coming up here for 1 hour and then go home.
Before we go, I've only got an hour for this particular stream, but I was born in March in Cambridgeshire.
Do you know, I seen that, and